This morning I want to read from the book of James 4, 2 and 3 that says, "You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. And even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure." And today, I'm just grateful for life. I'm grateful for strength. I'm grateful for my wife and children, and um, grateful for all of you, for being so dedicated to wake up every morning to just worship together. And just grateful for a new week. God has put us all here together to just have purpose. Um, this particular verse, I didn't read too much into the context of it yet. Um, because really and truly, when I was reading it last night, what I bookmarked, it bookmarked and saved like the whole thing. But it was really only two lines, three lines here that stood out to me. Um, and that was where he said, "Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it." And it made me think about something, right? Where I was listening to this businessman give a speech one time, right? And in the speech, he was saying how, he was like this big advocate against our government, and he was used to always be the one to say that, "Oh, the government don't do nothing for people. The government is don't do this, and the government is don't do that," and like just have this whole thing like this anti-government stance, right? So in this particular meeting, um, the head of the government asked him, was like, "What have you asked us for?" You know, and the businessman had to pause. And, he said that he thought to himself, and he said that, they were right, you know. He was anti-government based on what others said they didn't get. And he wasn't even sure where the others asked, you know. But it was sort of like a domino effect of opinions. The fact that like you never asked them for anything, but you assumed that you couldn't get it because they didn't give it to somebody else who asked, you know and that's similar, and I guess I had to put some thought into it because Miles Monroe used to consider the kingdom of heaven as the kingdom government, you know and it's so funny, like, you can't think that because you see that God didn't reward somebody. I wouldn't even call it a reward, I would call it a blessing. That God didn't bless somebody with something when you know that it was something that you and them asked for. No, if God have something for you, it was written in the heavens long before you came along, you know? And you maybe it was the way that you asked, or maybe you just didn't ask, Or maybe, just maybe, like what the author says in this, and even if you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You only want will give you pleasure. Like, what we ask God for, is it really for us, or is it really for others? Is it really for Him, and so that He could get the glory, or is it really for us because we feel that it can make our life better? When we pray to God and ask Him for something, do we say, "God, I want a new car," or "I want a car"? You know, do I want when I ask God and say, "Do I want this money? Do I want this to really make my life better, or do I want it to live in a life of luxury?" These are some of the questions that we have to ask ourselves, like when we ask God things, because you have to remember this, right? Your lips and your mind could say whatever it want. They could come out of there, and you could go and you could pray and ask God for this, that, and the next thing. But remember, He examined the motives of the heart. You understand? So when you go into God with these prayers, you have to go into Him and ask Him for things that you know wholeheartedly that you've already put some thought into this. This is what I want and this is what I need. God, when I need this because of this. I want this because of that. You understand? Like you have to think on a linear perspective the same way that He does because you are written in His image. You have to look at life like, okay, I want this because at the end of the day, this is what I'm trying to accomplish with that. I can't give my family a better life if I don't have this car so that I could get to work, or I need this car so I could be picking up my kids from school. I need this because of that. You understand? You don't need it because of some sort of selfish motive, or you don't need it because of, you know, it's something that'll give you pleasure. Because then at the end of the day, when you don't get it, you can be afraid to ask God when for the things that you really need, because you thinking that, hey, He don't give me what I ask anyway. But it isn't that He don't give you what you ask. It just boils down to like how you ask and what you ask for, and whether or not your heart was pure when you asked for it. You know. So this week, I want us to be intentional with what we ask God for, and make sure that our motives are clear. You know, make sure that whatever it is that we pray to God and we ask God for, make sure that it's something that gives Him the glory. Make sure that it's something that if we need is so that our lives could be better, not just for us, but for everyone else around us. You know. So thank you everyone for the opportunity to speak. Um, I pray for purpose over everyone this week, and I pray for purpose over myself this week. I pray that we could continue to worship together every morning, and I pray for covering over every single person's life who could hear my voice this morning, because I know you deserve it, and I know that you're faithful, and I know that whatever it is that you have in your heart that you feel that you need, that you have the courage to go to God and tell Him what you want. So thank you everyone for this opportunity to speak again. I'm Kerry, and I relinquish my mic back to Indira or Jelly.